Good evening, San Marcos family. It's good for me to be with you and to just take a brief moment to share a little something from God's Word this evening. I'm going with all, Peggy and I, the family, we're going through all of this with you. I'm sure that we all are experiencing fear, anxiety, worry, and just so many emotions that are flooding through our hearts, our minds during this time. And the Bible has a lot to teach us and to speak to us during these sorts of difficult times. We're not used to them, but I can't help thinking about the generation of our fathers or our grandparents who went through world wars, pandemics themselves, nuclear threat. And it's a sobering and humbling reminder that we are not the first generation to go through a worldwide, painful, difficult period, a period of uncertainty, of fear, where the future seems nebulous and unclear. And I don't say any of that to make light of our situation, but as a way of almost reminding myself, really, that we stand in a long line of difficult global experiences, and that we stand in a long line of believers, of Christians, of followers of Jesus, who have gone through experiences like this, and some even more painful and more difficult. We are not alone in this experience. We have one another, and we have much to draw from when we look back into history. And we have a lot to especially draw from when we look at the scriptures. So there are many things to say about what we are going through today, but I just want to zero in on one thing. This isn't a full response to all that we're experiencing. It's just one specific aspect that I want to address, which is how to deal with fear as Christians. I think the Bible has a lot to say about how we deal with fear as believers, but I just want to, again, look at one specific thing. I look at a passage, for example, like Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41 verse 10 says, "Fear not, fear not." That's, as we know, the most repeated commandment in all of the Bible. But what I love about this passage is that God himself, through the prophet Isaiah 41 verse 10, tells us the reason why we can experience a lack of fear, or fear diminishing in our heart, replaced by hope and peace, presumably. He tells us why we can have this experience. He says, "Fear not, for I am with you." He doesn't say fear not because I can 100% guarantee that you won't suffer. He doesn't say fear not because the circumstances will definitely change. He says, "Fear not, for I am with you." There are many passages like this in the Bible, but we see this, for example, in the Psalms. Yes, I did lick my finger, but my hands are clean. Psalm 118. I'm sure many of you will harp on that. But it's so important when we look at the psalmist as well. In Psalm 118, the psalmist says the following. Psalm 118:6. "The Lord is on my side. I will not fear." The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. It is the presence of God that takes away fear. It's like the disciples rowing against the storm, rowing against the winds, and then seeing Jesus himself walking on the waves, seeing this amazing spectacle, this genuinely awesome, even terrifying vision. And what does Jesus say? He says, "Fear not, it is I." There are many things that can take away fear, that can assuage our fears, but I think biblically the main one is God is with us. If we have put our trust in Jesus, we can know God is with us. He is with us in all experiences. He is with us whether the circumstances change or not. He is with us even if we go in and through the valley of the shadow of death. Because we know that if we have put our faith in Jesus, the shepherd may take us into that valley, the valley of the shadow of death, but he takes us through that valley onto green pastures, onto a banquet with him in the wilderness, because he is the one who has the power over death, because he is the resurrection and the life. There is nothing more true, more powerful, more sweet. There is nothing that can give us more courage. There is nothing more encouraging, nothing that can give us more courage in the face of fear than knowing that God is with us, knowing his presence. God is always with us whether we feel it or not. But this is a time in which I would want to encourage you to cultivate and practice the acknowledged, the experienced presence of God. I want to encourage you, use this time of isolation, of quarantine, of lockdown, to turn your attention to him, and to intentionally direct your affection toward him and adore him in quietness, in solitude, and silence. And my friend, I'm telling you, he will allow you to experience his presence, to have a deep sense of his favor and affection for you. And this has the power to give you courage in the face of fear, even if the circumstances don't change. Friends, there is a peace that surpasses understanding. It's not irrational, but it's trans-rational. It surpasses understanding. And it's when we fix our eyes on good things. It's when we fix our eyes on the only one who can give us peace. As Paul himself tells us in Ephesians 2, he is our peace. It's not just that he gives peace. Jesus is our peace. So let's turn our attention toward his presence and know his peace that takes away all fear. Have a good weekend, my friends. God bless.